Every single day, I get a bunch of questions from people asking about Social Security. When are we going to see that Social Security increase of $200 per month? Well, we now have some more insight as to how the $200 per month could actually happen. So, for the 66 million people that are currently collecting Social Security benefits, they all want to know the same thing. When is that $200 promise that President Biden made? When is that going to happen? When will he fulfill his promise? Well, we got some more clarity behind this, and I want to address what I have found. Now, we need to understand that this is a process, okay? And so I just want to be very clear. This video that I'm doing right now, it's going to address the process, how you are actually going to get the $200 per month or something very similar, all right? So keep that in mind, because this video, even though it's all addressing the one need, Social Security or Medicare or even the child tax credit payments, right? Because all three of these are being linked together. But even though this video is going to address that, the issue is the talks are outside of Social Security, Medicare, and the child tax credit payments, okay? Let me explain what I mean. The first thing is lawmakers are trying to establish how they're going to get these bills passed. And the one thing that they know is that this must be a bipartisan bill. Okay. And I know a lot of people are going to say Republicans are never going to go for an increase to Social Security. But the truth is, the facts are that Republicans are not against an increase to Social Security benefits. But what Republicans are against is providing additional payments when the Social Security Administration and the Social Security Trust Fund could become insolvent. That's the issue, okay? In addition, lawmakers, especially GOP lawmakers, do not want to provide additional benefits to Social Security when there's already billions and billions of dollars going to nutrition assistance, lower income households just in general. So their plan is they want to, if Democrats want to increase the funding to Social Security, they have to pull from other lower income programs. That's what Republicans have been saying. Okay, so and I know it's kind of that that big issue is Republicans do not want to provide any relief to Social Security recipients, and that's 100% false. They want to provide relief to those that actually need it. Okay, now that's the first thing. It has to be a bipartisan bill. And what we heard from the White House just recently is they are now emphasizing bipartisanship because of this new Congress. They know that Democrats hold the majority in the Senate. They do not hold the majority in the House. And as of making this video, we do not even have a Speaker of the House as of yet. So there's still a lot of work that has to be done. But Democrats' plan is to cater to moderate GOP lawmakers first. And this could actually work. If they cater to the moderate GOP lawmakers, they could actually get them on their side. And if they get more than 60 votes in the Senate, and if they have the majority in the House, it could work. But it doesn't stop there, because you still have to get support from Republicans, because chances are we're going to have a Republican speaker, and the Speaker of the House is the one that decides what bills are going to see the floor. All right? So, first, they need to get support. Getting support is going to be great, but they also have to get the Republican lawmakers on board as well. And in order to get them to the table, it means they have to give in some way. So, what does that mean? Well, essentially it means they have to give in to Republican demands. What is one of the Republican demands? At this time, one of the biggest demands, one of the big priorities for Republicans is cutting down that $80 billion over 10 years going to the IRS. That's one of their big demands. That $80 billion is supposed to go to help hire 87,000 new IRS agents. But I want to be very clear on this. This still is not going to bring up, because currently they have, I think, 83,000 agents, add another 87,000. what is that, 170,000 agents that we would have? Well, that math isn't technically right, because currently they're expecting, according to the IRS, they're expecting to lose 52,000 agents over the next 6 years. They're going to retire or just leave. So this $80 billion essentially over the next 10 years essentially is going to hire about 35,000 additional agents. That's about what it's going to do. But Republicans want to claw back that $80 billion, or at least part of it. Guess what? That's where it starts. That's where it starts. Even if the IRS had $40 billion in addition to what they're already getting, that's still a pretty good amount, right? That's a start. And that's what Republicans have been saying is, let's just get started. That's all we got to do is just get started. Then, if the IRS needs additional funding, whether it's the IRS or the Postal Service or whatever, then we can look back in a couple years and be like, you know what? We did underfund that. We need to give them a little bit more. Or nope, that was way too much money. We need to take some of that back. That's essentially what they're doing right now. So, how does this actually pertain to Social Security, Medicare, and the child tax credit payments? Well, it's actually pretty simple. If they have additional funding, $40 billion or 20 or whatever it may be, they can use that money to go and shore up Social Security, shore up Medicare, provide some relief to children through the child tax credit payments, right? And remember, lawmakers have questioned this ever since the beginning. Was this a good idea to provide additional relief at this time? Okay. Some said that they need to shore up our existing programs first, but that never happened. Again, this includes Social Security, Medicare, even providing more money to the child tax credits. Because again, if you remember, the $2,000 child tax credit, that is the current payment, but that expires. That was passed under former President Donald Trump, and this will go away on December 31st, 2025. So this isn't a permanent bill either. And then it goes from $2,000, I believe, down to $1,500. It goes back down to that. So again, it's going to drop, and that's not something lawmakers want to see. So the discussions are being had, but again, it doesn't stop there. Lawmakers are also considering and currently discussing what they call sustainable aid to Ukraine. What they've been saying is that Ukraine seeks additional funding and weapons. Well, again, how does this tie into Social Security? Well, I'm going to address that in just a second. Because lawmakers, they don't like the fact that they are being asked time and time again to vote on a bill that is sending money to Ukraine when people here in the United States are still struggling. Because their constituents are telling them, why are we sending money over to another country when we here in the U.S., within our borders, are struggling? And there's really no answer other than, well, we have to provide additional relief to Ukraine because this is going to help us, fight off Russia, and energy and food prices and all this stuff, so on and so forth. I'm not going to get to that in this video, but you know the drill, right? But they say it would be better for Ukraine and for them politically here in the U.S. to just send a set amount of relief to Ukraine, for the year, every single month, whatever it is. Now, this could be a mix of funding and weapons. It's not just funding. But according to Michael Carpenter, he is the U.S. ambassador to the Organization for Security Cooperation in Europe. He says that the Biden administration is looking to provide sustainable assistance to Ukraine, even if sometimes it's not the amount Kyiv hopes for. He also goes on to say, and I quote, "The Pentagon has been advising the Ukrainians on what they think is the most sustainable type of support that we can provide. And it has to do with the numbers of the equipment and artillery munitions that we have available and the pace at which we can continue to expand those sorts of munitions and hope for replacements. You have to factor in cost. The enemy certainly factors in cost." Now, okay, I've told you this before. Lawmakers had to pretty much move away from providing additional relief to Social Security back early in 2022 when Russia first attacked Ukraine. This was on February 24th, I believe. Now, even in September, so that was passed in February, so that passed in March. Then in September, another bill was passed. This was, I believe, a standalone bill. Provided, was it $13.7 billion to Ukraine. Then again in December, where we provided another $45 billion to Ukraine. Now, lawmakers hate the fact that they have to continue to vote on this. Because again, their constituents are looking at them like, you're saying you're going to get us additional help, but at the same time, you're sending $45 billion to another country that I will never go to. How is that helping us here, right? So that's part of the issue. And again, we are going to see another bill. We're going to see more bills for Ukraine, but this is what lawmakers are fighting for. Let's get one big bill. Let's send money to Ukraine. Let's send additional support to Ukraine. That will be that. Okay, it will just be a bill where, okay, every month or whatever, we send this amount. Simple, right? Okay, again, how does that have to do with Social Security? Well, I've told you this before. Lawmakers have said that they had to prioritize Ukraine over Social Security back in March. They had to do the same thing in September. They had to do the same thing in December. That's what they're saying. So until the issue with Ukraine and Russia is done, which means either Ukraine wins, Russia pulls out, or Russia wins, Ukraine is pretty much no more, or they lose a lot of their land. Until one of those things happens, we're going to continue to see the United States support Ukraine. Again, that's part of the problem. So like I said, this is a process. If we want to see that $200 per month boost to Social Security, first thing is we have to get bipartisan support. Second thing is we need to provide additional funding, which means we're most likely going to have to claw back some of the funding we've already sent out, right? Third thing, we need to see this issue with Russia and Ukraine. This has to go away. This has to end. But again, the way that lawmakers are seeing this ending is by the United States kind of pulling back, giving some funding, some additional munition, but at the same time, we're not doing it every single month. Okay? Again, I know it's probably not the answer you've been looking for, but this is kind of where we're at. Lawmakers want to see additional aid to Ukraine, but they don't want to continue voting on this. So as you can see, this is a process. It's not going to happen overnight. This isn't something that's going to happen in a week or potentially a month. This could potentially be a year-long battle to get those $200 increases to Social Security recipients. Now, here's the other thing. And I hate to say this, but this is very true. The way the Biden administration has worked lately is, for example, when the former administration under former President Donald Trump, they passed a $600 stimulus check. Then the Biden administration comes in, they pass, was it the $1,400 stimulus check? That was great, but the Biden administration said they sent out $2,000, right? They just changed the math a little bit. The Biden administration also changed the definition of a recession. Okay, they changed the definition of relief by bringing down gas prices, right? That gave you additional relief, which was somewhat of a stimulus. So what we are pretty much projecting at this point is that if we wait another year and we see another cost of living adjustment of even if it's like 4%, okay, or 3% really. If we see an additional 3%, to the cost of living adjustment for 2024, that would essentially make the average cost of living adjustment for the past 2 years over $200. Guess what? And I'm hoping this doesn't happen, but we've seen the Biden administration have the Biden math, before, where they could say, oh, we gave $140 and we're giving an additional $60 here. We gave you that $200 boost over the past 2 years. Now, I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but just want to throw that out there because Biden math has been given to us before. So we will see what happens moving forward, but I just want to be very clear. There is a path for this Social Security increase of $200 per month. However, it will take a little bit of time.